The Washington Commanders season is over after they weren't able to overcome 4 turnovers. They lose in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, 55-23. We've got your instant reaction right here on Ref the District.
It's Ref the District. Come on now and join us.
Let's go.
Welcome to Ref the District instant reaction after the NFC Championship game. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner, and that's Trev. And we've got already a bunch of people in the chat already. We appreciate everybody being here. If you're jumping in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share it with other people so that way our misery is combined after our Washington Commanders season ends in a sad, sad blowout, as J.S. Wyman here points out. It was 55-23, the Eagles putting up 21 points in the fourth quarter to really put this one away. Washington 4 turnovers. Jaden Daniels' special season finishes with 29 of 48, 255 yards, a touchdown, a late interception, 6 carries, 48 yards, and 1 amazing rushing touchdown for him as well on the ground. Washington came to this game 6-point underdogs, and they just got the doors blown off on them. Of course, you could have bet during the game if you would have head over to Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source of online betting in 2025. First time better or season better, it's Bet Online who can be your ultimate game day companion. They have the largest selection of odds on everything: football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. Bet Online is the number one sports betting source for the new year. Touchdowns, three-pointers, hat tricks. Bet Online has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. Now that I got the ad read out of the way, and of course we encourage you to bet responsibly, let's get to this breakdown here. I'm going to start with Trev on this one. What happened? Why of all the games this season did Washington play its worst game in the one that mattered the most?
I think this is what happens when you have a 30% or higher roster turnover. You have a pretty much 75% front office haul and coaching staff haul or turnover. And you've won 6 or 7 games in the last minute or fourth quarter. Basically, one coming off of luck being a Hail Mary, and the other 2 just having a clutch quarterback. This is what happens. And what I'm getting to is the continuity is the most important thing for a brand new team, and this game is the reason why. Philly's been here before. Everybody except for Saquon's been here before. So this was nothing new to them. Yeah, we split the series this year with them, but this game was the most telling game of all season, that we have just a bunch of guys on the team, and we're just trying to play football and win games. And we just happen to keep winning games this year because of Jaden Daniels, and the mixture of those guys stepped up every week, whether it was Eckler or Ertz or B-Rob or McNichols or Chris Rodriguez or Noah Brown when healthy, on the offensive side of the ball. So, and then defense, you got either Sanders still or Noah Igbigmi had a better first half of the season than second half of the season. And then BSJ gets benched, and we get Marshawn Lattimore in and out with injury. So it's like, this is what happens.
You know what it sounds like to me, Trev? Sounds like you kind of think that this team was a little bit fraudulent, that they really shouldn't have been here in the first place.
I don't think we were fraudulent. I just think that nobody expected us to get here, but
you don't beat Detroit the way that you beat Detroit last week and be a fraud.
Okay, he's just saying that, we're average here and we're average there and we're average there.
Yeah, if Philly loses
this
game 55-23, that's a fraudulent team. But we're not. We're just literally.
I don't think we're fraudulent, Trev. I was just kind of poking you a little bit, but I think this team played way, way, way over their head. I don't think they are NFC Championship caliber type team.
Right?
Going into this game, you could have had
I
an
don't
argument
know,
that they
man.
were. After this game, I understand where your sentiment lies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about next season because I really don't. I'm sharing some of the comments from our viewers that are saying, hey, it's okay. It's going to be, next season's going to be great. I'm only going to share them because I don't share that sentiment right now. I think this game sucked. I hate it. I'm mad. I'm sad. I wanted Washington to win, and Washington fumbled away. Literally fumbled it away. Jaden Trev talked about Trev having a special season, and we won so many games off of the back of his play. We did not lose this game because of Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels did not become the first rookie to start in the Super Bowl as a quarterback, not because he coughed up the ball, which is what happened the 6 other times. If you looked at all those championship games, the rookie quarterbacks just threw up over themselves. The moment was not too big for Jaden Daniels, but the moment ended up being too big for the Washington Commanders as a whole. 3 fumbles that led to touchdowns for the Philadelphia Eagles. It was shared early. I think JG there, give him some credit for this. The difference between the game before, 5 turnovers, Jaden Daniels still played magical and got us the victory against the Eagles. This time, unable to come over the 4 turnovers. Really, it was 3. The one at the end was the interception. The game was probably already out of hand at that point. So that one you could count or not count, depending on how you want. But why Stoner? After this team has elevated its play to match its young QB, were they not able to elevate their game? And we're not talking like these are a bunch of other rookies who failed. Okay, De'Ami Brown, I understand he hasn't really been that great. Most of his career, but he's had a fantastic postseason. But then you have Austin Eckler, who is a seasoned vet, a well-known player, a guy who's been very good. And you guys told me at the beginning of the season, a stud. He fumbles the ball, and then McNichols, journeyman running back off of a kickoff return. Which, by the way, I'll get to the special teams aspect here in a little bit. But sort of why were they not able to elevate their play today to match the QB and the coaching? Because I don't necessarily think that those were problems today.
Well, essentially, it comes down to you have a much more talented team on the other side. We all knew that their talent was far better than Washington's talent. This season has been all about Jaden Daniels covering up the warts and the problems of this Washington team by being Superman. He's been Superman all year. And at some point, that's going to catch up with you. Let's be honest. We were all surprised it didn't catch up with him last week against Detroit. Well, that's where we thought this whole thing was going to come to an end. But because of his amazing play and his ability to put the team on his back and his ability to cover those warts, that lack of talent throughout the roster, that's how they were able to get by Detroit. But then when you get to a Philadelphia team, a well-coached team, a pretty well-disciplined team, an extremely talented team, especially in the trenches, Superman couldn't continue to put the cape on, and so they got exposed for what Washington is. You wish it wouldn't have been so bad, a 55-23 type game. You wish it wasn't that bad, but a loss is a loss. You lose like that, or you lose 7-6, it's going to suck, right? But you just got outclassed. Philadelphia is a damn good team. We all know that. We have to give credit where the credit is due. Jalen Hurts played better than he has almost all year. He was fantastic. Jalen Hurts was. His knee didn't seem to bother him, and that was a big difference. The stars starred when they have to. Barkley, A.J. Brown, defensively, they were doing it. So you just got outclassed. And finally, Superman couldn't put the cape on this last time. You got exposed, going home into a very promising offseason.
Yeah, they got exposed. I don't want to say Jaden Daniels got exposed. It sounded like
no.
he got
Washington's
exposed.
roster got exposed.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
he was fine.
It sounded like he said he there, and so I just wanted to clarify because it was like, again, Jaden Daniels just wasn't really given the chance, which is probably a bit of a misnomer because when you're looking at some of these other stats, Washington actually was only behind time of possession by 30 seconds, right?
Yeah,
It was fairly even there. Washington still put up 350 yards. They still had 22 first downs. They actually had more plays than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
The problem was it was seven yards per play for the Eagles, 4.5 yards for Washington. But it just felt like every time Washington was going to get something going, something just didn't work out for them. A fumble on the ball, or an issue, where they just couldn't keep things going the way that they wanted to. So it's unfortunate again that this came down to it. This was the season, and people weren't ready for it. The fumble on the second drive, the fumble on the after you get a touchdown to make it 14-12. You give up a touchdown. It's 20-12, and you have a chance still to drive, and then you fumble the ball on the return to make it, and then they get a touchdown, 27-12. Right? You get a field goal at the end of the half, but at this point you're down 12. They're going to get the ball, but then you get a 3 and out. You're like, yeah. And then they get a 3 and out, and you're like, okay, maybe not. And then they score a touchdown in 4 plays, less than 2 minutes to go up 34-15. That's rough.
Yeah.
I kept with it. Trev, you were jumping ship early on me.
That's what Trev does.
I told you keep with it, but it was that third drive. Washington scores the touchdown, 34-23. They get the punt, but then they fumbled the ball away, and
while driving, they were down in
30 yards. Yeah, and that was probably the end, right? The 41-23. Then you start to look at it like maybe things aren't going to work out. You turn over on downs, another touchdown. That's when the interception happened. Like, it just wasn't Washington's day. Let's kind of go through this like we normally do, our offense and the defense. The defense is going to be trash. Just to let you know, we're going to get there, but you don't have to be trash. You can go ahead and hit that like button for us. Make sure
Please.
that if you're here, let us know. I've got a few starred things already here when it comes to this, as far as the things that are going on. First, let's talk about the offense. It had 3 turnovers on offense, one being a late interception. Stoner, outside of that, there was a couple long drives and the ball kept moving. I mentioned 18 or 22 first down, 18 of those coming in the passing attack.
Yeah.
Now, Jaden Daniels did drop back 48 times, and the team only ran the ball 25 times.
Yeah.
You are usually really big on the balance of the offense. How did you feel about the offense today?
Well, I thought the offense was actually pretty good. You can't complain too much about it. Let's just take the turnovers out for a second. Let's just talk about the execution of the offense. The execution of the offense was fine. They were getting stuffed running the ball early, but they figured something out there, and they started getting some nice runs. Jaden Daniels was doing Jaden Daniels things. He was running all over the place. He was throwing dots all over the field. They were doing fine. But you give up a fumble like De'Ami Brown did on your own end of the field, 7 points for them. Then you give up another fumble when you're driving to try and cut it to a 1-score game. It's 34-23, and you're driving in the second half. And then you give up a fumble by Eckler, right? Which, I don't know, Tyler Biadasz came out of the pile with the ball. I don't know how they rewarded it to them, but whatever. But and then so you give up the fumble there. They go down and score a touchdown. So offensively, I thought they were executing just fine. You didn't see anything wrong with it. They didn't get enough chances because of the fumbles. Just think if they at least don't fumble the ball and maybe punt the ball away or something, then you're going to limit what Philadelphia is going to be able to do. So offensively, I didn't see any problems, obviously, than the mistakes. They didn't have any major penalties offensively, right? So offensively, I thought they did really well. Obviously, Jaden Daniels did Jaden Daniels things. The Terry McLaurin touchdown catch was amazing. The way that Terry McLaurin in the second half of the season just seemed to get into another gear, right? He was getting shoestring tackles all the time in the first half of the season, but in the second half, he seemed to have another gear that the defenders didn't have. That was an amazing play. Offense was fine. Offense played well enough to win, minus the fumbles.
So on this offense, Zach Ertz, 16 targets, 11 receptions, 104 yards. Terry McLaurin, 3 catches on 7 targets, 51 yards and a touchdown. De'Ami Brown, 3 catches, 42 yards. On the ground, I mentioned it was only 25 attempts.
Yeah.
6 of those were Jaden Daniels running, 11 by Brian Robinson for 36 yards, and Austin Eckler, 8 carries for 15 yards. Trev, what do you think, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but what is more important going forward for this team? Another potent running back, like a running attack, or a second wide receiver, a second reliable receiver in this passing attack? Because Zach Ertz is up there in age. Who knows if he's going to continue, playing football or stays with this team. You've got Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, who what is more important for Jaden Daniels going forward for him to get this help that he needs to get this team over the hump?
You need a good running game. Point blank, period. And we just experienced that in the NFC Championship game. How'd they win that game? You want to know how? 7 rushing touchdowns by quarterback and running back. No receiver had a touchdown. And they have
A.J. Brown did. Just FYI.
Did he?
They had 8
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And they have studs at wide receivers. But they had 7 rushing touchdowns. Because why? Their running back's a stud. Okay? I understand we had high hopes coming in the season with the B-Rob and Eckler, Thunder, Lightning kind of duo. They were excited to play with each other. Let's be honest. It's B-Rob and Austin Eckler. Okay? It's not scary. It's not anything to game plan for. It's not anything to watch out for when you're playing against us. The running game for us this year was not a concern outside of Jaden Daniels. And people were like, oh, we have Jaden Daniels. Cool. But I'm not trying to send Jaden Daniels and have him leading the team in rushing every single season he's with us. He's going to get wore down. He's going to get injured more likely. And the possibility of that goes up. And no. So we just saw it in the NFC Championship game. We saw it the whole year. Winning teams have good running games.
Yeah. The game has been, always will be, won at the line of scrimmage, in the trenches, as they say. The big fellas up front, the Hogs. That's why this organization celebrates the Hogs so much, because that was the identity of the team back in the late 80s and early 90s. That's where the game is won. Philadelphia is considered to have the best offensive line in football. They showed it even with third stringers in there on the offensive line. They have excellent offensive linemen. And then I don't want to switch it to the defense yet, but you look at the other side, and Washington doesn't have the studs in the trenches to defend it. I mean, Barkley's holes that he had were huge. Jalen Hurts' holes to run were huge. That's the difference in the game. It always has been. And Washington has got to get to that point to where you can't, as Trev said, you can't rely on Jaden Daniels to lead this team in rushing week in and week out. It's okay if he does it every once in a while when he has explosive games, but you can't have what is the 2 running backs combination? So 8 and 11, 19 rushes for like 50-something yards.
That's awful, bro.
Can't win that way. And Washington obviously proved it. And I don't know, what was Philadelphia? Like 25 rushes for 900 yards?
36 rushes for 229 yards.
Yeah, that's where the game is won. You can say all you want about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts thrown in, and they can do that. They're good at that. It's one right there in the trenches.
Yep.
Yeah. So absolutely on offensive line, a lot of people are agreeing with you. SGB was one of the other ones who had agreed with you on the offensive line. Don't necessarily go to, the running back or the skill positions. Go with the big guys in there. And we do love a good big guy. So when we start doing our draft prep, expect us to be looking at that, because we could upgrade across the board there, no doubt. Gregory pointing out 55 points. What a joke. And we're going to get to the defense here in just a moment. But one of the things when it comes to why we're talking about the offense and why they can do it is because we said Washington's best defensive weapon going into this game was Jaden Daniels. If Washington can keep driving the ball, if they had, Trev, a bunch of those opening drives were 7 minutes off, and it was 18 plays. I mean, eventually they have to finish. They have to score a touchdown off of those. But if they kept doing that, yeah, Saquon's going to break out a big run like he did, and he scored immediately, against us. But Washington's defense, all it needs is one or two stops. A big run here, a big pass play there. But if Jaden Daniels limits the amount of touches the other team's offense is going to get, the defense is going to look better. So that's one of the reasons why we're talking about it. And Trev, today that didn't really work out, and things were a bit off. How much do you think Washington missed Sam Cosmi today?
A little bit. I mean, a lot. I mean, I didn't think that they were really wreaking havoc back there against Jaden Daniels. I mean, yes, they got back there to him. They got a couple of sacks, but I don't think it was the story of the game. Like, you didn't really hear the announcers or anybody saying, man, we're just getting Jaden Daniels on every single play, because we've had that happen before with Sam Howell last year. So I think it's huge, but to be honest, I even left him off the injury report on Wednesday because I was just like, Trent Scott came in and we beat Detroit. I didn't even think about Sam Cosmi not being able to play. And it's no offense to Sam, but it's like we've had so many switcheroos offensive line. I really wasn't worried too much about it because it's been doing it all year. But yeah, I think we definitely missed Sam Cosmi to a certain extent today, but I don't think it would have made that much of a difference because we beat ourselves, and it really wasn't the offensive line's fault this time. But just to piggyback on the offense, when you think about it, I'm going back to the very first drive.
Yeah.
4th and 3, that close, after converting 2 of them.
Yeah.
We choose 3. You can't score 3 points to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs.
That was weird, wasn't it, Trev? That was weird.
I think that set the tone for the entire game because we were playing catch-up the entire game. We led 3-0 for literally 18 seconds. Yeah, I know we still kicked it off and they came down with good return, but I think that killed our drive. I think that killed our momentum. And I think that set the tone for the rest of the game because then Cliff had to go start calling different game plan probably. To be honest, I don't think Cliff called a very good game, to be honest. And it's hard to watch it on TV because you don't see downfield when the receivers after the snap, you really can't tell. But I still don't think that he called that great of a game. Zach Ertz was our leading receiver with the most yards and catches and targets.
Yeah.
Was that coverage or was that design plays? Or
it was
it
coverage.
Just plays were just busted? It was just, and I saw somebody commented, no deep shots. None. I don't know if any were dialed up and they were just covered, but there were none. Not even a try. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's just weird to me because Jaden's been hitting those all year. We 2nd and 3, you call a screen on 2nd and 3 after picking up 7 on the ground. Give it right back to B-Rob. That's what I'm saying. We had B-Rob as a Jag running back. Sorry, I'm kind of tangent, but if you just feed him and feed him and feed him after he's getting some momentum, see what happens. We always just stop doing that after B-Rob comes in and breaks the pile and drags the pile for 7-8 yards. Then we go to a pass play, and then we're behind the sticks again. Now we're forcing Jaden Daniels to be Magic Man. So shout out to Cliff for calling a great game plan all year, but a lot of times this season it was bro, what are you doing? B-Rob just broke that for 8 yards. It's 2nd and 2, and you're calling a screen? 2nd and 3, you're calling a screen?
Yeah, 2nd and 2 is one of those times you got to take a deep shot, right? Because it's just you only got 2 yards to make. You don't have to. To be fair, that was a similar play to the one Terry McLaurin broke out to the house. But I mean,
right? But
I do think some of this was coverage. It was Jaden Daniels was taking what that defense was going to give him. So that's why, honestly, they were forcing it to Zach Ertz. Largely because Zach Ertz, while he can catch the ball, he's not a yak machine. You saw what happened when Terry McLaurin got it. He ran wild, and they didn't want that to happen. Someone had pointed out the umbrella coverage. I think it was Brian. Yeah, Brian here. The umbrella coverage today from the Eagles. They didn't want to be beat by the top. They were like, this is going to have to be a death by 1,000 cuts. And Washington ended up not being up to the task today. And one of the things I mentioned in our group chat, Stoner, during the game was I smile anytime Philadelphia is going to bring the blitz because I just know Jaden Daniels is going to do something good. And that was true today. The problem was, as Todd points out here, Philadelphia only had to bring 4. So you didn't get to see a blitz a whole lot. And this is where it goes down to your point, Stoner, about the offensive line needing to be improved, because you can't sit there and get pressure on your quarterback, no matter how good of a quarterback he is. Some talented people there on defensive line for Philadelphia to give them their kudos.
And at some point, I just kind of noticed in the game that Chris Paul was in there at right guard.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything. I wasn't following along Twitter. I don't know why.
Trent Scott was getting blown up.
Getting abused, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's not surprising. He's a backup for a reason, right? But on that, a couple of points that Trev made, I kind of wanted to piggyback on. In that first drive, right, they had a 4th and 5 at Philadelphia's 43-yard line, and they went for it and got it. Then later in the drive, they had a 4th and 2 at Philadelphia's 28, and they went for it and got it. Then they had a 4th and 3 at the 16-yard line.
And you kick.
And they kicked a field goal.
And you're down the rest of the way.
I didn't understand
that. Was so weird.
I know so how everybody talks about points on the road or whatever. But you just went for it twice during that drive.
Thank you. And it's 4th and 3.
And it's 4th and 3. It wasn't 4th and 7 or 4th and 8. It was 4th and very manageable. And so that was very surprising to me that they kicked a field goal. But, good on them. They kicked the field goal and then turned it over to the defense. And then,
that's what I'm saying. You can't do that when you got Saquon Barkley over there. And AJ Brown and Devontae
I don't think they're going to have a chance to give up one play drive against Saquon Barkley. I think they expected their defense to play better than that, and then their offense goes out, and the offense. And this is where I definitely disagree with like the play calling, that he wasn't in his bag. You sit there, you have Eckler, 1st and 10, Eckler for 4 yards. Then you have Daniels to Ertz for 5 yards. 3rd and 1, Brian Robinson on the left for 3 yards, 1st and 10, and then De'Ami Brown fumble after a 6-yard gain there. Like Washington, to me, looked poised to go for it again. They were going to drive down the field if De'Ami Brown doesn't fumble away. But then that's when they do get in trouble, because now Philadelphia, not wasting the time here, scores another touchdown to make it 14-3. Washington, 10 plays, 46 yards, 4 minutes off the clock, but only a field goal. To your guys' point, maybe they should have gone for it, and they need 7 here, not 3. Elliott missed another field goal against us, which gives Washington a chance to actually close this down to a 2-point game. Actually had a chance to actually get closer, but it just wasn't meant to be. I tell you what, though, you know what's funny to me, guys? All week long, our Philadelphia viewers were pretty quiet, but they're chirping in the thing out here now. You can tell that they were nervous about this game, and they are only now coming out. They're only coming out now because it was a victory, and it was a big victory for them as well. I just hope that if they're out here watching us, they've also hit that like button for us, and they stop saying stupid things like this. The scrolls saying JD5 choked big time. The scrolls, you must not have actually watched the game. It wasn't JD5 who did that, but we do appreciate you coming out here. Make sure that you hit that like button for us as we go through here. We have a few things from our viewers. Brent here with the super chat. FYI, I am an Eagles fan, but at least Jaden Daniels got more postseason wins than Dak.
Hey, there we go. We can all team up on the Cowboys.
You're not lying. We do appreciate you, Brent, for joining us here. Jodecki here as well. As an Eagles fan, it's going to be a headache to continue playing you all 2 times a year. You better believe it. This is not going to be the only time these 2 teams will meet in the postseason or have epic matchups in the regular season. It is a new day, and I do believe that it's going to be going forward, Philadelphia and Washington battling it out for the top of the NFC East. So we do appreciate you all coming on and jumping here. And again, Brian with Brent, sorry, with that super chat. We do appreciate you all coming out here and Josh with us. We, unlike our Detroit counterparts, enjoy a little friendly banter. We do just ask that the trolling be limited. Keep it to good discussion, and we don't have to have a problem with that. Last point on the offense before we do to the defense. Gus was asking, were you guys annoyed that they kept sending Jaden out there when we were down by 25?
No, I was annoyed that when Marcus Mariota came in, they didn't do a damn thing but hand the ball off.
Well, that time you were down by 30.
But then you go for it on 4th and 3 when you're down by a bajillion. You go for it on 4th and 3 with a run play with Mariota. But when it's the first drive of the game, you're like, nah, let's kick for 3. Whatever. No, I wasn't mad. He's a rookie. Let him just see if maybe cut it down to 14 or 15 or 17 or 18, maybe. But no, I wasn't annoyed. I was annoyed that we were down by 25, not that Jaden was still in there.
They scored 28 in the second quarter against Detroit last week in one quarter.
And gave up 21 in the fourth quarter?
No, but I'm saying that
the defense
having Jaden in there down by 25, that's fine. Yeah. You still got a shot. Anytime Jaden Daniels is in there, you've got a shot. But at a certain point, you obviously throw in the towel. So no, I'm not mad that they were in there still trying to win the game. Absolutely not.
No, I mean, and they eventually did pull him. Marcus Mariota got in there for Washington.
That was a good time to pull him.
They flew out the white flag and they surrendered, right? But with 5, we're alive, and you saw how quickly Washington could put up points. You saw 22 points against this Philadelphia's defense. A few weeks ago when these two teams met, they put 28 points up against Detroit just last week in one quarter. They're capable of doing that. So no, I'm not mad, but as I would say, this is where